Hello, welcome everyone. So thanks very much for joining us for the first Winchester Business Improvement District Forum of 2022. Great to see everyone in person again and to be here at the Winchester Royal Hotel, so thanks very much to them for hosting us this evening. Most of you know me, but for anyone I haven't had a chance to say hello to yet, my name's Paul Spencer and I'm the Executive Director for Winchester BID. And firstly, just if I can make everyone aware that we're filming, you see, the meeting this evening so that we can share the presentations and what our speakers have to say with anyone who's not able to join us tonight. So I hope that's okay with everyone. And you'll see tomorrow we'll upload the videos and you'll be able to access the slides as well. Also, as we go through, you'll see that there's yellow buttons on a lot of the slides. So when you get that PDF version, you can click on that and access more information about some of the things that we're talking about as well. So our BID forums, we hold them regularly throughout the year, and the aim is to give you an opportunity to come and find out about the work that we do, to network with other businesses in the city, but also to find out about other projects that are happening in the city which are of interest to the Winchester business community. And we've got a presentation later about Central Winchester Regeneration, and we've got some exciting updates from Varian, so we look forward to that presentation a little later. So here's the agenda. So we're going to talk a bit about what we've been doing over the last few months since the last BID forum, which was in October of last year. We're then going to give a bit of an update on plans for the future. Now, all bids, including the Winchester bid, operate in terms of 5 years. And every 5 years, we prepare a new business plan based on the projects and services that businesses tell us that they want us to be delivering for them. And businesses get the opportunity to vote on that business plan and whether they want to continue the bid for a further term of 5 years. So there's lots going on this year. And we did a survey, for example, of businesses at the end of last year to try and start capturing information on what people's priorities are. But there'll also be events like this and different opportunities throughout the year to talk to us about what's important to you. So you will notice over that side of the room, we've got some pieces of paper with all of our core projects listed as a reminder. We've got post-its, we've got pens, we've got a flip chart. So during the evening, whilst I'm speaking, that's absolutely fine, or when we take a break a little later, do think about what's important to you and what you'd like to feed back to us. So the question I will ask you is, what is the one thing that's most important to you that you feel the BID could do to support your business in the future? So thinking about the projects you do, what would you say is your number one? And that's one of the questions that we asked in the survey last year, as well as having lots of multiple choice questions around the 4 key themes that we deliver as well, but to try and get people's top priority where they can write down whatever they want and feed that back to us, and that will go into our new business plan, those that are coming up as the top priorities for people. We're then going to have an update from our BID manager, Sarah Davis, who also chairs the Festivals and Winchester group. So she's going to be talking to you about events and festivals. I think after the last couple of years, we've been doing all sorts of things on Zoom and Teams and online. Festivals are now starting to come back in a really big way this year. And there's a huge list of different activities which you've got on your chairs there, or some of you have on your chairs, of different things that are coming up this year, and Sarah's going to talk to us a bit about that. And then we have our announcements on Central Winchester Regeneration, the next steps. So most of you will be familiar with our work. We've been around in Winchester since 2008, and we'll be going into our 15th year on the 1st of April. So we're in our 3rd term of 5 years, and we're putting together plans for a 4th term, which businesses and all of you that are BID members or levy payers will have the opportunity to vote on later this year. So we're fully business funded and business led. We also generate other income through projects and project generated income and sponsorship. And we work with around 700 businesses in the city centre. There's also around 320 bids now across the whole of the UK. So many towns and cities have them. And we're also one of the longest running bids in the south of England as well. So I always take a moment at these events just to say a thank you as well to all the businesses that support and invest into the work of the BID. I think that's really important, and this work wouldn't happen without that collective contribution that a BID levy in a city centre represents. So thank you very much. So you can see the cover of our current business plan on this slide. You'll be able to click that link on the PDFs, and then a list of some of our key projects there as well, under the 4 key themes, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with now. So positioning and promoting Winchester, managing and enhancing the cityscape, supporting business growth, and influencing and inspiring change. You can get lots more information on the website. You can click on the key themes, find out more about those projects, how you can get involved, how to contact us. But you've also got information on there about the team and the board, how the bid was set up, how our governance works, finances, etc. And the best way to stay up to date with the most recent news from us is to sign up to our e-newsletter. So that goes out every fortnight and includes lots of different things that we're doing, but we also try and put information about other things in the city which will be of interest to people as well. So you can sign up through the website or you can email the team as well, and we'll get you on that mailing list if you're not already. So this is the team, 3 full-time, 2 part-time members of staff, and we report to a board of directors who are listed on the side there, representing a range of organisations in the city and a range of businesses across different sectors who are levy payers into the bid. And again, you can click that link and find out a bit more information as well. Also, just to mention that on the board, there's a rotation policy. We encourage people to get involved in that. And every year when we come up towards our AGM, an email will go out from my colleague Chris, who's sat over there. And if you are interested in getting involved, then you can contact us and put yourself forward for a vote at the AGM to get involved. So there'll be more information about that coming out later in the year. So the first thing I wanted to do is just give you a bit of an update on the things that we've been doing over the last 3 months. We always give you that quarterly update at these sessions. So over the next couple of slides, I've got mainly images that have been taken from our social media of different things that we've been up to. You've also got the links there on the bottom of the slide as well. So at the time of the last forum, we were talking about that business survey, which I mentioned, and encouraging people to take part in that. So we've now got the results of that back. I'll talk a little bit more about the survey later, but also we want to hear more from you. So as I say, do start writing things down. I'll probably get Sarah or Tam to maybe hand out some post-its, and we might not let you out until you write something down. But we are genuinely really interested in what you think and what you have to say, and what you'd like to see your bid doing in Winchester City Centre. So also since the last bid forum, we've put out the winter hanging baskets. We've run the Halloween trail, Spooky Winch. We had about 191 businesses taking part, I believe, this year. And it was 440 families and small groups that took part in that trail. So lots of people getting involved in that last year. Also in November, we celebrated 3 years of the Winchester Bid Ranger Scheme. So that was something that was new for this term of the bid. Most of you will be familiar with them, see them walking around town. They've helped to recover over £42,400 worth of goods from people attempting to steal from businesses in Winchester. So they're making a real difference. They're working with other security around the city, and they've been a really popular service. And also something that in that survey is coming up as something that's really important to people, actually, the business crime reduction work. We attended the National Bids Conference. You see a picture of Chris in the corner there speaking. So we try and talk to other bids around the country, learn from them, making sure we're doing things as best we can and talking to people about best practice and learning. We installed some new public art on Parchment Street. So that was extending that popular painted bollard scheme that people will be very familiar with in the square. We've got some new ones in Parchment Street. Sarah's already looking at where else we might be able to get some new public art around the city. We support events and festivals as well, so we support the Winchester Fireworks. The last of our most recent series of podcasts came out. So these are business briefing podcasts. You can see a picture of Chris and John Kind there. And that last episode was about the future of the high street, so a really important topic. And you can go onto the various channels you can see there and listen to those. And they're a good listen. We've had all sorts of different people from the business community come and get involved with those. And John Kind, who presents them, is a researcher who does our quarterly business barometer, so looking at the health of the business community in Winchester. We then organised the city's festive lighting and the huge Christmas tree in the High Street, and the Christmas lights switch on event, which attracted 10,000 people. Enough. We've also organised, Sarah was very busy at Christmas time, we also organised the gingerbread Christmas trail, and we had, I think it was 200-300 families and small groups taking part in that as well, so that was great fun. But that wasn't enough either, so we also created a new independent pocket map, so independent businesses around the city that people can take around with them and hopefully enjoy a bit of Christmas shopping, going out for something to eat and supporting some of the local independent businesses. And on top of that, we also had a chalet at the Winchester Christmas market this year. So that was a new partnership working with the cathedral, getting some of our businesses into that market, have the opportunity to trade there, which was great fun as well. Very popular and something that we're going to look to bring back for Christmas this year. So moving into the start of this year, we've had a Sustainable Business Network event. We're on the steering group for that. There's normally about 4 or 5 events a year on a range of different subjects. We're still in December, actually, aren't we? Small Business Saturday was December. So we had that Sustainable Business Network event, and that was looking at a summary of COP26, really. So that was a hot thing that people were talking about then. We've then also got a new accreditation. So, and this is for our Business Crime Reduction Partnership. We renewed that. So the bid now is triple accredited. We've got a British Bids accreditation. That's all around governance and services and the sorts of things that we provide. We've also got a Bid Foundation accreditation, which is specifically about governance. And then also the Business Crime Reduction Partnership has got the new National Standards accreditation, which our colleague Jane renewed for us recently. So that's really great. Also, as towards the end of last year, just to mention that when Omicron was mentioned, we worried about the impact that would have on the city consumer confidence. And we did get involved with 100 other destinations across the UK and other business organisations in writing to the Prime Minister and the Chancellor, calling for more support for those businesses that were most affected. So there was a big campaign around that. And of course, we've tried to keep our coronavirus guidance page on our website up to date. So every time there's an announcement, we put the links on there and people can go through to the relevant pages on the government website. A lot of it is coming from and find out about what they need to be doing, what they can claim, what sort of information is coming out. So obviously, we're at the point now that hopefully the next one will be that we're moving towards endemic and things will be much better, and hopefully we won't be seeing so many updates on that page as we move forward. So also earlier this year we started a new promotional campaign on our savings and advisory service. So this is run by a local company called Auditel and is a way of doing an audit on your business and looking at the costs and whether you can make cost savings within your business. And they've got access to all sorts of different things that you can look from, sort of fleet procurement if you've got vehicles, uniforms, utilities, all sorts. Our programme of additional street cleaning has started again. So we clean around, I think it's 10,000 metres squared, I'm looking at Sarah for that figure, of pavements, of grime and chewing gum every year. And then we've also started doing a lot more graffiti cleaning as well, mainly from business premises, but also from other, sort of business areas. You can see, Bing getting clean there in Kingsgate, for example. And so hopefully Steve was happy that we came and did some cleaning around Kingsgate. But that's a really important thing that we do as an additional service. It's about 800 graffiti tags that we're clearing a year from Winchester now. It's amazing how many there are and that they come back. So if you don't stay on top of it, then it does come back. So that's an additional cleaning service above what the council will do. There's been lots of meetings this year to sort of talk about the year ahead and what we've got coming up. So the bid boards met. We've had meetings of the Festivals and Winchester Group. We've had meetings of the Independent Business Group, Shop Watch and Pub Watch. So lots of opportunities for people to come together and talk about things that they'd like to see over the coming year. Also, our quarterly business barometer is ongoing. So the latest one came out last month, provides a review of 2021 and looks at prospects for 2022. Key things in there around vacancy rates, business confidence, sales performance, things like that, that many businesses get involved in. And if you want to be part of that as well, then do contact us. And the more people taking part, the stronger picture we can get of what's happening in Winchester, and therefore what's important to be lobbying for, or also how we should be adjusting some of our projects to those different needs. We supported the council with their Lights in the City project, so hopefully a lot of you have been able to enjoy that. There's been some really great displays, particularly down at Abbey Gardens, up at the Great Hall, for example, and that's been good fun. And then this month, also a lot going on already, and we're only a few weeks in, but we worked with the Poet on the High Street, which was part of the Winchester Poetry Festival last year, and they've published a book of the poems that they created working with people and businesses around the city. It's a really great book, and I think if you're if you're someone who knows Winchester well, then you'll know some of the interesting things that they talk about, and some of it's quite amusing as well. And we had a great launch at P&G Wells as well, which was good fun. So that's something I would recommend.
And you can get the book from us.
And you can get the book from P&G Wells, so go and buy one. But it is great. It is really good. And it was great to get those stories from the people and places, of the city. And it was fun for us to get businesses involved in that journey. We've got a business magazine that we initially launched when COVID hit. So there was all sorts of things in there about trying how best to move your business forward, things we can learn from each other when going through these really difficult times. But we're going to continue that for this year as well. So there's things in there about leadership, team working, all sorts of issues which are really important to all of us. And that's authored by John Kind, who does the business barometer as well, working with Sarah as well, who supports him. We launched the Winchester Business Excellence Awards last week. The launch was originally planned for Thursday, and then we heard that His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales was coming, so we did an online launch. Then he couldn't come because sadly he got COVID, but he's looking to reschedule that visit to Winchester, and I'm sure there'll be more information about that when it's available. So 20 years of the Winchester Business Excellence Awards now, which is incredible. So that's all live. You can go on the website, you can enter, you can make nominations for others if there's, so the public can make nominations for businesses that they think deserve to be recognised. But also businesses can put their own achievements in there as well and make a nomination. So we're in the 20th year. We've got lots of different businesses and sponsors involved that we're very grateful for. And we're going to be holding an event on the 22nd of March because we didn't have that launch event to bring everyone together, have a bit of a networking opportunity. And that will be down at Chesil House, which is down near Chesil Street. And a really great venue, so worth coming along to have a look at that. We then had the unveiling of the Licoricia of Winchester statue. As I say, unfortunately, the Prince couldn't join us, but it was an amazing event. It was really great. And I think what that statue represents for the city, for women as well, is incredible. And it's a beautiful statue, so do go and see it if you haven't already. And then last week, we hosted our business breakfast event with Steve Bryan, RMP. So we haven't done it for 2 years now because of COVID, but that's an opportunity that we've put on for businesses to be able to come along, hear Steve speak, also put questions to him, and he's very open about his answers. It was a good morning, and we're really pleased to bring that event back. It was actually in here, so you might even recognise the room from the picture. But also at that event, we present the cheque for funds raised through Spare Change for Lasting Change to two really important charities in Winchester, Trinity Winchester and the Winchester Beacon. So two charities supporting people experiencing homelessness, and we presented the cheque for the funds raised during 2021, which was £3,714.25. So that was really great, and that's from people putting their spare change in buckets in businesses around the city. And we've also put electronic tags on those boxes so you can pay through Google Pay or these clever things on your phone as well for people that works for. And also, as people have been carrying less change, it was a way that we could take electronic payments. So we were really pleased with that, and it was great to be able to support those charities. So that's what we've been up to since the last bid forum. So obviously there's been all sorts going on, but I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about our plans for the future, and then we'll then go on to talk a bit about events and festivals, and then we'll have the update on Central Winchester Regeneration from Varian. So, and also I'll highlight some of the priorities which are starting to emerge from that survey we did with businesses towards the end of last year. And again, make sure you do write on those post-its today. We really want to hear from you. So yeah, do get involved and take a moment to write some ideas down. So every year around March, April, we send out our annual review document to all Winchester Bid members, and that includes information about the bid, the review of the previous year's activities, and the return on the bid levy investment. There's a financial report in there, FAQs, and how to contact us. And then there's also this double page which is going in this year as well. So it's just a preview of that page, but you'll be getting a paper copy of the annual review coming through next month. So This year is a really important one for Winchester Bid because we create our new business plan working with you and putting in the priorities which you want to see the bid deliver. And then the business community has the opportunity to vote on that later this year as to whether they would like us to continue our service for another term of 5 years. So we've got the key ballot dates on this slide, and it's in the book that will come out to you. So the notice of ballot will come out in September. The postal ballot then runs from the 7th of October to the 2nd of November. And then the results will be announced on the 4th of November. It all comes out, if we can do the same as last time, in a bright blue envelope. We try and make it stand out, so in the in-tray you know it's an important document, and you can respond to it as you see fit, and we can get that back, and you have the opportunity to be part of that process. So, in addition to this, there's to the survey that we did earlier, I just wanted to highlight just some of the different methods that we've got for capturing business feedback as well, because that's going to be really important this year. So we've already run development days with our board and with our team to get them thinking about what we think is important to the future. We've run that survey, but also we've got things like e-communications, meet and greets, social media, our annual reports and AGM, bid forums like this tonight, meetings and networking groups. There's lots of different groups that we're involved in, either chairing them or going along to them as a participant. And then we'll soon be launching a Ballot 2022 page on our website. So along the top there'll be a separate page that you can click, find out more information, send feedback, get all the key dates and things that you need to know about the ballot. And then when the new business plan is published, you'll be able to get all that information from there as well. But you'll also be sent a copy of that as well ahead of the ballot. So a few other key dates as well. The AGM will be 27th of April this year. We'll then have another bid forum in July, where we'll be, so at the AGM we'll be able to show you our progress on the draft business plan. In July it will be coming a bit more towards a finished document. And then on the September forum, which will be on the 28th of September, we'll be presenting the final version of the new business plan, which everyone will have the opportunity to vote on. And all of those dates as well are available on our website. So there's on the news section, we've got key dates for 2022. You can click on that and pop them into your diary as well. So we're really keen to find out what projects you think are important and what should go into that business plan. But also it's worth just taking a moment to think about, because we've been around for 15 years now, so there's a lot of things that we do that people have probably got used to, and do they know it's us? Do they think they're things that just happen? So you see on the right hand side of that slide, it's just some of the things that won't be there anymore if there isn't that collective investment in businesses working together to deliver additional projects in the city. So for example, if there isn't another term of Winchester Bid, we would lose a £3 million investment in projects and services for businesses over the next 5 years. We would lose that local private-led organisation to represent businesses and lobby on key issues on their behalf. The Winchester Business Crime Reduction Partnership, which I was talking to some of our guests earlier from TK Maxx, that would go. That includes Shop Watch, Pub Watch, the Bid Ranger scheme, the Radio Link scheme. That's all services through the bid. The summer and winter floral displays would go. The majority of the festive lighting would disappear, and there would be no annual Christmas lights switch on, bringing those 10,000 people into Winchester City Centre. The additional street cleaning that I mentioned earlier would be gone. So we wouldn't be able to come and clean your business premises if it gets tagged with graffiti. For example, the savings and advisory service to help get those cost savings down would go as well. The Winchester Business Centre would close. And then finally, we've got a ring-fence fund that we introduced this term specifically for projects to support the independent business community. And we do a range of different projects. A lot of it's marketing and promotion, but there's also training and other sorts of activities. And obviously that wouldn't be available to support our local independent businesses as well. So if you think these sorts of projects are important, we really want to hear which ones you think are the most important and are the things you think absolutely have to continue. Maybe there's some that you think are less important and you think we should be doing a few different things. We'd like to hear about that as well. So do get involved is what I would say. You know, we really want to hear from you, and it's important that this business plan is a document that's created for businesses and by businesses. So this is kind of some of the small print about the ballot, really, and it just gives you a bit more information. But the bid collects an annual levy from businesses with premises in the city centre, and that levy is derived from 1.5% of the rateable value of their premises. And then, as I mentioned, funds are also raised through project-generated income and sponsorship as well, to increase the income that we can spend on projects and reinvest back into the city. So as I mentioned, bids operate in terms of 5 years, and there's a ballot every 5 years. And the person, registered company or organisation who is a ratepayer for non-domestic rates for premises in the bid area are the people that get a vote for each of those premises. So if you've got a shop in the bid area, you'd be having one vote on that shop. If you've got two, you'd have two, for example. And the ballot has to meet two tests when we get to that point in October and November as well. Firstly, we've got to have a simple majority of those voting in favour. And then secondly, the aggregate rateable value of the premises of those voting has to exceed that of those voting against as well. So there's two different measures in there, and we've got to meet both of them to be successful and be able to continue these services. So the key thing for us is we want as big a turnout for that ballot as we can get, so that's as representative as possible. And obviously we're really hoping that we'll be able to continue our services for you as well. So the final slide from me, and then we'll move on to some fun stuff that we've got coming up in terms of festivals and events, and we've got some exciting updates about what's happening down at the Central Winchester Regeneration area as well. So this includes some of the top things that came out from the survey. And there's quite a lot on there, but these were the ones that people were saying were really important. So, for example, additional public realm enhancements includes things like the street cleaning that I mentioned, graffiti removal, but also improved signage, public art, those sorts of projects which will be led by businesses, and we'll deliver them for you. The floral displays and the Christmas lights, those sorts of things as well, that work specifically with independents, people are saying is really important. And we might change how we do that, but there being a specific projects and ways of working with the independent community, which we know we've got a really strong and vibrant independent community in Winchester, people are saying is important. Marketing the city is a big part of it as well. Festivals and events, which we'll hear a bit more about what we've got coming up this year from Sarah shortly. That cost-saving service. Lobbying's become, on key issues, become a much bigger thing in the last term. I think partly because Winchester was in a stage that Central Winchester Regeneration was moving forward again, a really exciting project. We've got the movement strategy, which has been going on as well, which is really important to how people travel in, out and around Winchester. So that our engagement with those sorts of projects has become much more important to look at issues that impact the commercial well-being of the city and try and raise that business voice and represent you, but also give you the opportunities that you know when the consultations are, you know how you can get involved if you want to, or you can talk to us about it, and we'll put in those collective responses as well. Measuring how the city is performing. So data is something that we've always been quite interested in. I mean, Chris is a professor at the university and has worked with the bid for a while. I've also got some background in academia as well, so we know the importance of data in decision making. So, for example, we collect data on footfall, and we have the quarterly business barometer. We've got data on the car parks usage and that sort of thing as well. So that can inform things that we're doing, but also conversations we would have, for example, with the public sector about things that they're managing as well. We do town centre audits as well, which is something which links in with Sarah's work, and that can look where improvements might be needed in terms of lighting, signage, safety issues, things like that. And it won't always be that that's then work that we're doing, but it's also us talking to partner organisations and the public sector about things that are important to people. Another thing that's come up in the survey is promoting equality and diversity. We had a conversation about this within our board in the last year or so, and doing more work around that is something which people are saying is important to them. Also promoting sustainability and green issues, and we are involved in quite a lot of the networks around the city which support that, and also the strategic work the council's doing. That's coming up as really important for people. Also the health and well-being of people who work in the city. I think we've all been thinking about that with our teams over the last couple of years through the pandemic, but that's something which has come up as well. And then networking and training opportunities, and then the Business Crime Reduction Partnership, which has come up as a really important thing as well. And one thing we're looking to potentially put into the new business plan for that is an increase in our bid ranger service as well, so we can respond to more things happening in the city, but also they're safer to deal with some of the more challenging situations which happen sometimes, unfortunately, as well. So that's everything from me. I will say one more time about the post-its. Do come and get some. I actually can, even if you want to hand some of those out with pens. And just scribble a few things down. You can talk to us at the end, and you can help yourself to drinks again as well. Or come and talk to us another time as well. We've got an open door policy on our office on Parchment Street, and you can get hold of us, email, social media, all of those sorts of things. So I'm going to hand over now to Sarah, who's our bid manager, who's going to talk to us about festivals and events in Winchester this year.
Just go back. Bear in mind, even in COVID, we carried on doing all of this. We didn't stop doing this. Paul, mostly, carried on doing all of this. I think that's an important point to make, that we're still here when we're not here. Thank you. Please, on your post-it, just write the word Sarah. I'll be happy. That's all you need. Festivals in Winchester. On your seats, I've given you a copy of the Festivals in Winchester leaflet list, which is already out of date. In the last couple of years, as you might imagine, like every city, everybody kind of took a step back and breathed and thought, we can't do festivals, can't do events, can't do anything live, can't do anything in person. And in Winchester, we had a really healthy festival vibe going on. We were looking at 40 or 50 festivals every year. I'm not kidding you. Come COVID, and everybody kind of put their heads down and said, well, we can't do this anymore. There were probably about 6 groups that kept going by diversifying their businesses. So the Writers' Festival went online, the Poetry Festival went online, there were festivals, I can't read it, but I hope it says Sarah, thank you. There were festivals that went online and diversified their business in order to still have a presence and in order to still have an audience, and that was great. And the Poetry Festival and the Writers' Festival actually reached an international audience of 23 countries. So really, by going online, they actually reached a far wider audience. But this is what started happening last year. When we started coming out from under the covers and saying, hang on, I think we can do this a bit, festivals started coming back in different forms. I think most of these were last year, except probably Hat Fair and Boomtown. They started coming back, and this year we've already seen, and you'll see on your list, the City of Lights has been up and finished at the weekend and was a wonderful success. Licoricia was unveiled last week. The Children of Winchester Festival, the first festival, comes along this weekend. There's a real appetite for it. The fact that you're in this room tonight and we're not doing this on Zoom is why there's a real appetite on it. We want people, we want social interaction again in our lives, and that's fantastic. You as business owners, as business representatives, can get involved in every one of these and every one that's on my list, just by putting your hand up and saying, can we get involved? Are you two guys from TK Maxx? Yeah. We need to talk Fashion Week. You've got fashion, I've got a whole week dedicated to it. We need to, this is how we're thinking. We're getting you involved in everything. If you're a food retailer, you can get involved in the Hat Fair. If you're a food retailer, you can get involved in cheese and chili. If you're an old building, Steve, I'm looking at you. I know you're not an old building, but you have an old building. If you're an old building or have an old building, then Heritage Open Days could be an absolute winner. If you are a large firm of solicitors in the city, I'm looking at you, Robert, you can sponsor things. Green Week's always looking for sponsorship. You can get involved in all of these. This is the big one for this year, me and a big hare. Hares of Hampshire is kicking off in June. This is going to be phenomenal. This is a citywide trail of hares, not all that colour. They are all painted beautifully. There's sponsorship opportunities. There's lots of ways to get involved in that. First big one, I suppose, we're kicking off with is Fashion Week, which is now in its 11th year. So the bid hasn't been doing it forever, but we are doing it well and we are bringing it back, and that's really exciting. I've got engagement with so many businesses for Fashion Week. It's fantastic. Not enough yet, obviously. But that will culminate in a huge, great catwalk event up at the university on the 9th of April. on the catwalk, we're looking at Anthropology, Jigsaw, Crew, some really big names, some really good nationals in the city who are saying, you know what, I want a presence and I want to be seen at these sort of things. And that excites me immensely. So Fashion Week is my first big player, followed straight from it by the Bunny Hop. Tan is organising the Bunny Hop, which is our kids' word search trail around the city. Again, all you need is a window with a sticker in, you're part of the Bunny Hop. It's not difficult to be engaged with all of these, I promise you. We've seen some new festivals coming along. So we'll have a TEDx again. We did have a TEDx in lockdown, which was a strange experience, sitting in your own bedroom, feeling like you're at a TEDx, but we're having an in real person one on the 5th, I think, of April. Up at the uni. We're using the uni a lot, and I'll explain why we use the uni a lot. The Guildhall is currently not taking bookings. That would have been our go-to. We'd probably be there tonight if we could. They're not taking bookings for events at the moment. Martin's nodding at me like you are.
No, I'm not.
Do you have a story to tell me?
We are starting to take bookings.
Thank you, I like that. But at the moment, for anything that I'm putting that's big, we're working with the uni a lot, but that's good news to know. So we would be there tonight if we could, I'm sure. So we'll be taking TEDx, that'll be up there. Little festivals, the Chamber Music Festival is a lovely little one. Lots and lots of sporty festivals this year. We're going to have a sportarium. Anybody tell me what a sportarium is? No, me neither, I've no idea. But we're going to have a sportarium and we're going to have a marathon, which is a marathon that's fun. It's like a contradiction in terms in my book. Lots of sporty things. Paul pointed out about the employee wellbeing. It's obviously a big issue and will be great for us as a city.
It's behind you.
You see, it was my panto moment, thank you. And will be great for us as a city to get people out and about and moving. Lots of festivals on the outside, on the outskirts. A new writing festival, the ukulele festival. Anybody up for that one? No, all right. A freedom parade is talked about. I don't know that that's been confirmed, but it's in the potential calendar. So lots of talk about civic parades. And of course, in June, we have the Platinum Jubilee. I'm not giving anything away on that, because I don't know what's happening with that. But undoubtedly, the city will be bedecked in bunting and something will be going on. We've got Hares, we've got Independence Month, we've got a whole month of food festival. All these opportunities are for you to get involved in. And Hat Fair, which if you went last year, anybody go to Hat Fair? It's just me. Oh, well done, well done. If you went to Hat Fair last year, it was over North Walls Rec. It was socially distanced. You stood in a bubble. Paul and I had a great time just standing in a bubble, shouting at each other. It's coming back to the High Street this year, and I'm very excited because that, to me, is Hat Fair. That's what we do. So that will be kicking off in July. Foodies Festival's coming back, another nice new one. And there's going to be an Ideas Festival this year at Wickham, which is phenomenal. The Great British Entrepreneurs are bringing 1,500 entrepreneurs to Wickham for a whole Ideas Festival. So it's, again, something new because that appetite is there. Wickham Festival itself, Taste of Wickham. Wickham's doing a lot this year. The Jazz Festival, like I say, sporty stuff, green stuff. Every one of these is something for you to get involved in. You just need to talk to me. It's that easy, and I will link you up. Christmas light switch on, I didn't put on there because Paul's talked about it a lot, but 10,000 people turned out in what was a time when Boris was staying, I'm not sure, maybe you should be staying at home. But we'll be doing that again on the 17th of November, and that's not that far off, actually. I've already had 2 meetings about Christmas because that's how we roll. In the middle of all this, and I haven't mentioned it and I should, is the Winchester Business Excellence Awards. We have the Business Leader of the Year here at the moment in the shape of James without his dog. The Excellence Awards is a great celebration of what we do. Paul mentioned it's in its 20th year. That will be celebrated, again, a proper ceremony, a proper awards ceremony in June, but get your entries in now. Every one of you can enter, I promise you. There will be a category for every one of you. All you've got to do is write about, not you, all you've got to do is write about why it's you. Why should you be a winner? And the more people who enter, the bigger a bash we can have. And I get excited about having those big bashes. So loads going on, loads of stuff to get excited about. At my last count, I was up to about 40 on this. There'll be more. Richard reminded me as he came in, there's a pancake race at the cathedral on the 1st of March. You can enter teams. Here he is, he's doing his pitch. You can enter teams into the charity pancake race. There's all sorts of things going on because people want to go to events. And I hope you want to go to events, so please support all of these using this so you know where they are, when they are. And if you can or you want to get involved at all, then please just drop me a note. Next slide, please. Over to Verian, who's going to talk to you about Central Winchester Regeneration.
I said I would never follow you again.
I know you did that. I'm so sorry.
Why?
And I didn't even do any dancing tonight.
I'm just going to very quickly change over the slides to Varians and then...
Oh, so you can all do your post-its now. I'll do your post-its, so look over there.
So I now remember why I
remember
said
now,
after that
sorry.
I'm never going to follow Sarah
sorry.
again ever.
There's
She's
too much
far
energy,
too
isn't there?
excited
I'm
about the whole
exhausted.
thing.
This is literally the longest I've sat down in 8 months.
Well, I am really, really pleased to be able to come tonight because this is literally hot off the press as of this afternoon, the branding and the new sort of approach that we're taking to launching Central Winchester Regeneration was signed off. So you really are hearing it first. I know you have all followed the saga of getting the project going, keeping it going, following all the twists and turns from the previous Silver Hill scheme through to the revamp via the SPD, which was adopted back in 2018. I know I've presented to you about some of the different options that we've explored and how we've moved the project on. And excitingly, at the end of last year, we went to our cabinet meeting where the process that we want to go through was approved by cabinet, Martin and colleagues, and then we did a full council meeting back in January of this year, which again signed off on pressing the button on going out to find the development partner that we want to work with to bring forward the Central Winchester Regeneration project. So between then and now, what we've done is an awful lot of work behind the scenes to get the tone and to get the branding and to get the messaging right for when we go out to find the partner that we are going to be working with to deliver the Central Winchester site. For those of you that have followed, we've looked at various different options over the last couple of years around the best way to bring forward those development proposals and how to get the best results. Not for the council necessarily, although it is obviously important for the council, but for Winchester. What are the social benefits? What are the economic benefits? How can we best get the result at Central Winchester that will benefit the whole city and the wider district? So you'll know from the vision in the Central Winchester Supplementary Planning document, we're looking to create a vibrant, mixed-use scheme, exceptional public realm, imaginative reuse of existing buildings. And we've had several consultations from that point, looking to explore really what is key to not only the local business community, but the local communities and wider afield around what the proposals and what Central Winchester should deliver. And there's been a lot of focus and a lot of talk around tonight, particularly the independent community, the independent businesses, the creative talent that we have in the city. And importantly, Sarah's saying that you're linking in a lot at the moment with the universities. We've got a fantastic cohort of young people coming up through both universities and our own Peter Symonds College. And there's a gap at the moment in the Winchester population where we lose a lot of that young talent. They go off to places, not necessarily to London, but to Southampton, to Reading, and we lose all of that talent. So key not only to creating a mixed-use, vibrant scheme that will enhance the whole of the city and the local economy, but how can we gear Central Winchester to attracting and retaining that young talent that we've got? And it's not only about the work opportunities and the job opportunities, it's how can we provide places for them to afford to live and stay in the city, and also how can we enhance the activities. I know there's an awful lot going on already, but is there an element and a gap and a different offer that we can bring? So what we're looking to do with Central Winchester is to start plugging that gap to bring a different offer. So with that, and with the fact that obviously we want this fresh new look and feel to Winchester, we also heard throughout our consultation that actually the history, the heritage, the culture that we already have is also really important. So we've been working really closely with teams to get that messaging right. And what we're doing tonight is showing you the brand, the messaging and the imaging that we will be looking to go out to announce the Winchester opportunity to that development world out there so that we can attract the right sort of developers to this opportunity. So I think we've got a clicker somewhere. What we've got is basically merging those two concepts together, the new start, but recognising that we already have a heritage, a timeless city. Which one is it? There we go. So what we wanted to do was to create a sort of a symbol, an image, a brand that sits behind the Winchester Regeneration, which has a nod to the past, but also a sort of a nod to the future. So the symbol that we've ended up with is the W, which will go right through the branding and the messaging. And then what we've got is this is out in the public domain as of today, tomorrow, so it really is new, and there will be the opportunity for you to have a closer look at this. But the story that we're telling to get the right sort of developers and the right sort of future potential partners engaged is blending that old and that new. So a lot of the messaging is around a new chapter in an extraordinary story. Time changes, but history remains. And it's talking about all the wealth of heritage, culture, opportunity that Winchester already has, but also then starts to look at what we can do to bring a whole fresh approach to supplement that. Within the brochure and within the branding, we've got real life case studies. Paul, we've spoken to you. I know we've spoken to some of the other businesses within in the city, so that we hear not just what we think, but what businesses already in the district and in the city feel and think that the opportunities are. So again, a really important one through messaging is about the landscape evolving, but stewardship is lasting, because again, we do want to make sure that we don't forget or ignore or disrespect anything that Winchester already has, but actually we can add to that and start a new chapter and bring something different to enhance that city offer, which will plug, hopefully, some of that gap for the youngsters, and also then, on top of all the other things that Winchester already does and already has, it's increasing the potential for overnight tourism. We get a lot of visitors coming during the day, but we don't have many that stay overnight. So by adding an extra element, an extra sort of offer to what Winchester already has, it maybe then will encourage extra overnight stays, which then obviously keeps the footfall high and keeps that economy ticking over and thriving. So that's the bigger sort of picture and the bigger messaging. That will obviously take a little bit of time to come forward. We know that we've talked about in some of the cabinet meetings, we've got a year's worth of procurement to go through to get the right partner. We've then got some planning to go through. So it's going to be a little while before we actually see any long-term activity on the ground. And I'll come on to talk a little bit about the timing of that in a minute. But we also wanted to not forget, we are also doing some of those things in the interim to make some visible changes, to again show commitment and start the ball rolling. So just back before Christmas, some of you may have seen that we did a consultation on some proposed open space temporary that we want to deliver down at the old Friarsgate Medical Centre building. I think nobody will be sad to see that demolished. We are in a conservation area, so it's not just a question of being able to demolish it and leave the site empty. What we've had to do is come up with some proposals that if we bring that building down, we will then replace it with something that then will enhance the conservation area. So we did a consultation, we've got plans, we did a consultation on the thinking behind that in December of last year. We have now pulled all of those comments together. We've made some tweaks and some amends to those proposals for that space. And we have, although it won't appear yet on the website, we have submitted the planning application for that. It does take a little while to go through the validation and the registration once it hits the planning team. But rest assured, the planning application to demolish Friarsgate has been submitted, and then all being well, when the planning permission comes through, we will be able to then demolish Friarsgate Medical Centre and deliver the open space that people have seen and commented on through the consultation. This isn't the long-term plan. This is a meanwhile interim use, but it also shows what the space could become in the future, because that area will be a mixture of residential and open space in the long-term future. So let's get on and start that look and feel change now. So there'll be space there for further events. Sarah, if you want anywhere else, there'll be some event space down there.
Definitely.
We're linking in again with some of the local businesses, the School of Art, because there will be the opportunity to really use that space and start getting people used to coming down to that end of town, to sort of try and sort of increase the footfall down that end. One of the other things we're doing, which again has been long talked about, is doing some short-term sort of interim improvement works to the King's Walk area. We know, and I think Paul and Sarah have touched on some of the issues that have arisen recently around the sort of falling off of the footfall, the rather sort of dowdy image of that. There's not been a lot of TLC around the King's Walk area, and I think that has led in more recent past to some issues around antisocial behaviour and trying to help out that cohort that tend to congregate in that area. So we have been talking for a long time about appointing some architects to come on board to help us transform in the short term that area. We are looking to get new and exciting tenants in there when those shop units become available, and we've already got some of these in, and for those of you that know King's Walk already, those front units there look and feel very different. So what we've actually now got is architects, as of yesterday, appointed. I can't share any plans with you yet because we just don't know what they are going to look like. But very quickly, the architects are on board. They will be meeting with the tenants. They will be coming up with some proposals and timescales for us to do some transformational work for the next sort of 2 or 3 years while the long-term plans come forward. So watch this space there, because we will be sharing some of those with you as we go forward, so that you can see where the transformation will happen. And again, very much targeted at those independents that want to be in the city but find high street rents just way out of their reach. So, as we said, watch this space, and we will keep you posted on what's coming on down there. So those are the 2 key shorter term projects that we're looking at whilst we move forward with the main opportunity, really, which is to find a development partner to work with us to deliver this vibrant new mixed-use quarter down at the central Winchester site. As I say, we're looking for a partner. We're not going to sell the site off. We're not delivering it all ourselves. We've carefully considered all the pros and cons. And in order to get the right balance between what the council needs and can afford to deliver, because it's something that we do have to factor in, but also what is the best outcome for the city, not only the social benefits but the wider economic benefits. We've done a lot of work on that, and if anyone really wants to have a look at the sort of figures that we were talking about the uplift in potential sort of economic benefit, there's a lot of information around that in the business cases that have been through our cabinet, and if anyone wants any information on that, then let us know and we can point you in the right direction. So the Central Winchester scheme ambitions are what you've heard already. When we did the consultation about the development proposals and the look and feel, the key themes that came out were work, live, play, student and young person experience, overnight tourism, and the sustainable development. So those key themes that we went to consultation on back at the end of last year before last in fact, are very much up front and centre in all of the sort of expectations and aspirations that we expect development partners to work with us to deliver. So the site that we're talking about is, because we've heard, again, as I think probably many of you know, we just want something to happen. Get on with it. We want this thing to happen. We're really keen for it to happen. So what we've done is we've identified the area that we as a council are in control of. So our land ownership, and that's hatched out there in the red. So it's the King's Walk block, Coitbury House, and the old Friarsgate Medical Centre and the current bus station. Pete's very aware of what we're doing, so it's not going to come as a surprise to him to hear us talking about it. And again, working with the guys at the bus station has enabled us to come forward with these plans. So again, Pete, thank you to you and your team for working with us on this. But because we are in control of that land, that is the area that we're going to be going out to market and to find a development partner to help us to deliver. That's not to say that the rest of it is not going to happen. It just means that we can crack on within the SPD guidance, following the aspirations and taking into account all of the consultation feedback that we had. We can press on and deliver this, whilst we are then continuing to work with the third-party stakeholders. For example, you can see there's the St Clement Surgery and Wallstaplers Hall, to continue to work with those landowners to understand how they then come forward to bring in those other elements that we really want to see. And also, for those of you that know the SPD inside out and back to front, and even those of you that don't, we are currently not including the Middlebrook Street car park, which is earmarked in the SPD as part of the development site. And the reason for that is we are still waiting to see how the Winchester movement strategy starts to tackle the movement around the city. There's the bus back better and all the thinking about bus strategy. And the SPD envisages at the moment that there will be a bus hub over on Middlebrook Street car park. It doesn't work at the moment. We're all quite comfortable with the interim solution that we've got. We've got a really fantastic solution on street, which keeps the footfall coming into the heart of the city whilst the redevelopment takes place. It allows time for the movement strategy then to sort of take hold and for those real key priorities to come out from that. And then we will continue to work with that to provide the long-term solution. But as you can see from this slide here, until we have got a resolution for our buses, it does tie up an awful lot of the central Winchester side. So that's the thinking behind the current land parcel that we're talking about. This is famously called the Blobs. This is the development proposals, which identifies where we'd got to around the young people, the creatives, where the different sites will hold the various different uses. Again, it is very much in line with the thinking in the SPD. You can see there that the quieter green elements, which are residential, are the quieter end of the site, working towards the brooks, which is here, where you've got all those active uses. So you can see the proposals do include Wallstaplers Hall, but at the moment it's not within our gift to deliver that. So we will continue to liaise with the landowners there, but we can crack on and actually start the ball rolling on the majority of the site. So that's what we're going to do. Also, again, some of you may remember we've done some work on how we can improve the Broadway and the lower end of the high street. There's a lot of work done on that. It could be a fantastic gateway into the city. It's not forgotten. We have got some high-level plans, but again, we do need to work really closely with the outcomes of the movement strategy. I think there's a whole new load of flood work that's been done, so we do need to think about that. But it is very much part of what we will be looking to deliver as the whole of the regeneration site comes forward. So that's the sort of overarching view, and the site that I showed you previously was the actual site that we're going to be looking to go out to market and find a partner to help us deliver. So the timing on that, just so that you're all aware of where we're at, as I say, this literally is hot off the press today, so it hasn't gone anywhere yet, and it will go out as of tomorrow. So we're marketing the site as of now, so we're speaking to developers out and about in the market at the moment. The formal procurement process, so the portal whereby the actual formal procurement to find that partner, that goes live in the middle of March. So again, we will make sure that that's publicised because it's an open tender. It's highly regulated. So that will all be available for anyone to log on to and have a look at. We are, alongside the brochure and the branding, having a dedicated website, so all of the information you will be able to have a look online, and that will then take you through to the procurement portal where you can have a look at all the documents. So if you are interested, or you know of anyone that will be interested, or you want to shout about it, then in the not too distant future, we will be able to point you to this site. So it's a two-stage process. Stage one, it's the sort of what we call the SQ, it's the selection criteria, or sort of experience looking, backward looking. We need to look at what experienced development partners have so that we can just make sure that they've got the right values, the right vision, and share the same approach to delivery that we do. So again, there's a lot of information already out there about what we will be looking for. So attached to our cabinet documents back in December are all the questions and all the criteria that we will be looking for development partners to respond to. So that information is already out there should anybody want to go and have a look. The official opportunity to register and bid for the opportunity, as I say, opens in March. The first phase is a 6-week period whereby the SQ questions are sent out, responded to, and then come back to us. We then collate all of those and we arrive at a short list based on those questions and based on the ranking and the responses that we get. And in the stage 2, which is the short list, we are going to be entering that stage in the middle of May. And that is then when we enter into what we call the dialogue stage with the shortlisted parties, whereby we have really detailed discussions with the potential shortlisted parties that we can then discuss in detail their proposals. And by the end of that period, which is coming towards the end of this year, we will be in a position to evaluate those final tenders which will have been submitted, do a business case on those, and find our preferred bidder, which will then early next year go back to Cabinet for approval to proceed. So it is a long, drawn-out process, but actually for a tender and a procurement of this size and importance, it actually is a decent time. And I think the market, already we're getting feedback that there's interest. So I think it is a really exciting opportunity. And as I say, it's marketed at the moment. The opportunity is out there. We are working with our development advisors, JLL. So if anyone is interested and wants more information, if you come through to us first, we can then make sure that everyone follows the same process so that we don't miss anyone out. So I think probably I will stop talking now. And like I say, if anyone has any questions, then absolutely happy to take those.
In the invitation documents going out in May,
Yeah.
what timeline are you giving to the developers? When do we want all this done, signed off, constructed, and public can access it?
With regards to the documentation or regards to the contract?
The whole thing.
Right,
the whole thing.
okay.
I mean, I've been in Winchester for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And we've been discussing this for longer than I can remember.
Yeah.
Well, in 10 years' time, will we have a finished thing down there?
Oh, sorry, the actual timeline for development,
Yeah.
yes. We are envisaging, realistically, it'll be a phased approach. I think 10 years is about right for the whole thing to be completed. It will come on in phases. Phasing is one of those things that we will be talking to our development partner about. We want to see things happening sort of within... I mean, for example, the interim proposals that we're doing at King's Walk, for example, and Friarsgate, we are anticipating to be there for approximately 3 to 4 years. So 3 to 4 years, we will then expect the development partner to be on board, the planning application to have been submitted and granted, contracts let, and work starting. And then it will be then the phased approach over the next sort of from that point onwards. So I think 10 years is a realistic thing to the finished article.
So if I'm being really cynical, do I say that people down that end of town are living with a building site for 10 years?
Well, it's how you manage it. You know, it's inevitable that to get change and to get the sort of environment that we want, there's going to be disruption. It's not all going to happen at once. We're not just going to close all the site off, hoard it all off, and make it a building site for 10 years. That's not how it's going to work. It will be phased. It will be very carefully managed. they're considerate constructors and all of that. That is all really important. So it's not something that we will just be sealing the whole site off and expecting people to live with for 10 years. We absolutely get that. We've got thriving businesses down there. We've got residents down there. We want people to come along on that journey with us. Obviously, there'll be a construction site. That is inevitable. But it's not going to be a closed-off building site. But there will be disruption.
I would just add it's not particularly attractive as it is at the moment in some
Thank
parts.
you, Peter.
Sure, very well.
Yeah. And I mean, the sort of partners and development partners that we're looking for, they are interesting, they are slightly quirky, they are used to doing this slightly different mixed use. They're the people that we're targeting, and they're very aware of not just the sort of economic side of things, but the social value and the social impact, that not what the finished product will have, but how we get there. It's really important. Engagement, communication, making sure that we keep people as engaged and updated as much as we can. And we're looking for like-minded development partners. And it's expected of people now. It's not something that is a nice to have and that developers can just come in and walk all over. It's times have changed, and we are looking for that partner that expects that and understands that, and also understands that Winchester is a bit of a unique place. There's a lot of interest in what we're doing here, a lot of passion about what we're doing here, and I think the more that we can, there are going to be obviously confidential conversations through the dialogue process. That's something we can't obviously commit to sharing, but where we can, we will do what we can to keep everyone in the loop as to how we're progressing. Yeah.
Does your 10 years allow for an archaeological assessment?
Well, we've already started looking early. We've already doing some early investigations around archaeology. So we've spent the last year doing boreholes and water monitoring, and I think we're just waiting for that final report. And then what will come out of that is what the archaeologists then think we should be doing next. Obviously, we cannot say with any certainty what's down there, particularly under the bus station. There's been very little work done there. A lot more work, I think, has been done around the King's Walk block, but we really don't know what is down there, other than the fact that the water conditions are coming back to say that if there is stuff down there, if there are deposits down there, they are likely to be quite well preserved because it's waterlogged, and that means they will be preserved. So when we get our development partner on board, that will then inform the development how they then deliver. So it's about doing minimum damage, minimum intrusion, preserve in situ as much as we can, unless there is some absolutely national importance find, in which case there is then the question of how is that going to be dealt with. So I cannot put a time on it, I cannot put a figure on what that will look like, but at the moment we are de-risking the site so that we've got as firm a timescale as we can at this stage to understand how we could move that forward. But actually, until you get your shovel in the ground, you don't ever really know what's down there. If we do stumble across something, then we will deal with that at the time. But as far as we know at the moment, the national policy is how it's headed. Yeah.
What learnings have been taken from the previous Silver Hill development, and so we don't repeat the same mistakes and compromises?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question, and we have been asked that. So there was a study come out, obviously, that we had the review out. There has been a complete change of approach using that as the basis. Obviously, one of the several of the key issues, and I know Martin was living and breathing this at the time, but a lot of the key elements, I think, buses and transport was something that I think was difficult to overcome, and I'm not sure it ever was sufficiently overcome. So I think we've worked really hard with our key stakeholders and the county to understand how we can work with them to agree a staged approach to understanding how that can be overcome. So that's the first thing. The next thing, I think, was the fact that we, again, were working with a development partner, and I think that has sounded some alarm bells, because previously it was a development partner that we worked with and it all went wrong. We are in a really different position this time, because we, as in the council, we own all of the land that we are currently talking about. So we get to choose the partner that we work with. We aren't having to just work with whoever the current landowner or current developer is, because we're the landowner and we're going to go out and find the right development partner to work with. So that is a fundamental difference. We're in the driving seat on that. And another thing which I think is really important is the phased and incremental delivery approach, rather than having a great big monolithic building suddenly land in the centre of Winchester, which is like 19 stories high. It is 7 stories high, I think the other previous one was. I just think where it started and then where it ended up was very, very different. And I think there wasn't the engagement, there wasn't that journey. So we are very much doing this phased approach, incremental, Winchesterness, love it or hate it, it's in the SPD, that Winchesterness, very much taking on board the feelings and the views from last time. So those are the really 3 fundamental differences. Unless, Martin, I don't think there's anything else. I think we've covered those 3 fundamentals.
Those are good 3 to start with.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, they're the key ones. And so I think we are now very much in the driving seat. We have learnt the lessons. There's been a change of approach, a change of administration, a change of thinking. And COVID, and let's face it, COVID has knocked us all sideways. We are all thinking differently, and we're all having to adapt to that. And I think we're all now approaching this in a much more flexible way so that we can deal with some of those changes.
I mean, the other big difference is we have the supplementary planning.
Of course,
so we
yes,
have
of
much
course.
clearer policy
How could
that
I forget?
says
Yes.
the kind of things that went wrong last time
Yeah.
in terms of scale and massing and all of that is all ruled
It's all
out.
there. Yeah.
Having a single monolithic design is ruled out basically in planning policy terms. So a lot of the things that most concern people would now get caught at the planning stage in a way that they weren't before.
That's absolutely right. The views, the skylines, the heights, the massing, the quantums, it's all already out there in this, and that is planning policy. So it is a bit different, I hope.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay,
indeed, very
thank you.
So hopefully a lot of exciting things coming up this year. Hopefully we'll be getting a development partner on board for Central Winchester as a city. Some of those meanwhile uses coming on board that Varian mentioned, including the urban park, the work at King's Walk. So really exciting to see how that develops. Loads of festivals and events happening this year, including some of those that Sarah mentioned, some of the first ones coming up, Fashion Week, the Easter Bunny Hop, and then, of course, the Business Awards, which we've launched. We've got that networking event for the Business Awards, 22nd of March in the morning at Chesil House. And then we have a spectacular ceremony at the University of Winchester in June as well. So lots going on. And also the chance to start talking to us about shaping the work that you'd like to see us doing over the next 5 years. So thanks, Sarah, thanks, Varian, and thanks to everyone for coming. We've got the room for about 20 minutes or so now, so if you do want to stay a little bit longer, have another drink, have a chat amongst yourselves or with members of the team or with Varian, then you're very welcome to. And thanks again very much for giving us your time this evening. Really appreciate it. Thank you.